Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Well, thank you all for joining today. We've got myself and Raul, and we're going to talk to you guys about Esri's involvement with Hacktoberfest this year. So we're really excited to get into the details. So if you're unfamiliar with Hacktoberfest, no worries. We'll definitely be getting into all of those details here in a bit. But before we get started, we would love to know where everyone is joining from. So I'll go ahead and start it. I'll throw it in the chat here. I live in Alexandria, Virginia, which is just outside of Washington, D.C. Now, before we get into the Hacktoberfest details, we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves and give a fun fact. So, all right, so my name is Courtney Yato. I'm a developer advocate in Esri's Developer Experience team, and I've been with Esri for a little over 1 year now. Now, my fun fact is, we'll go ahead and share this image here. In college for 3 years, I worked at, let's share this image. I worked at a place that's not really known anymore, Blockbuster. So it's kind of funny to this day. If someone like names a movie that was released between like 2008 and 2011, I can visibly still remember the case cover there. So it's kind of silly. And you can see up here, like in the top left corner, that says Left 4 Dead 2, which came out in 2009. So I was doing like a little module training for that to learn about the facts for that. So yeah, anyways. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Raul now. Raul.
It's only the two of us, so no one else.
That's right.
Well, I'm joining from Spain, Almeria, southeast of Spain. And yes, some of you might already know I'm part of the developer experience team with Courtney. I'm going also to share my screen because my fun fact, talking about open source today, I want to share that back at the university, I joined to a few colleagues and we made a project on a hackathon for the Free Software Office for the national contest. And we actually won one national prize. And the funny thing is that after winning that prize, we decided to start our own startup based on this free software product that we built. So we spent a couple of years, I think, on it, but we didn't make any money. So I had to change my path to something different. And yeah, rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. It's always nice to have a passion project, but I guess money, you need it to live, right? So
yeah, it's not easy to, at least it wasn't easy for me to get money based on it. It's I'm not blaming the open source. It was many other things, but
yeah. Awesome. All right, let's see. So let's shout out a few people who've put where they're coming from in the chat. Let's see.
Romania, Scotland. Yeah,
nice.
We have them on the screen. Switzerland,
yeah.
Arizona, Ghana. So many different continents.
Awesome. All over the world. Good. Awesome. Which is great because Hacktoberfest is, a worldwide global event. So yeah, it's exciting.
Do we get started?
Are we ready to get into it? Yeah? Get into the details? Okay. All right. So like I said, no fear if you don't know what Hacktoberfest is, because that's what I'm going to start explaining right now. So here we go. Okay. So what is Hacktoberfest? Let's see, if you've heard of Hacktoberfest before, real quick, I just want to know, put yes in the chat if you have. I'm curious because honestly, I will admit that a year ago, when I started at Esri, I didn't know what Hacktoberfest was. So Raul actually had to show me. And funny enough, even though I was like utilizing some of the popular open source projects and creating my own GitHub repos, I didn't really know about this really extremely popular event. So Looks like we've got Rachel who said, yes, she's heard of Hacktoberfest. Awesome. So it was originally started by DigitalOcean in 2013. And as you can see, this is the 10th year anniversary. Now, the official date for Hacktoberfest is, well, the month of October. Hence the silly name, right? But this countdown is actually, well, 5 days from now, which is not October 1st. That's what, September 26th, right, Ronald?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what does that actually mean? It does actually mean that that's when you can actually register for Hacktoberfest. Now, register. Okay. Why are you going to register? What does that mean? Well, let me go ahead and get into those details a little bit. If you want to be entered into receive prizes, you do have to actually register for this Hacktoberfest event. So as you can see here, it says that the first 50,000 participants to have their first PR/MR, which stands for pull request or merge request, accepted, will have a tree planted in their name through Tree Nation. So if you simply just get to do, one little thing and it gets accepted, which we'll talk a little bit more about what that is in a bit, then you'll have a tree planted in your name. And for those who actually have 4 of these PRs or MRs accepted, you'll receive a unique digital reward. So kind of cool. So how do you participate? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to look for projects, as it explains here, projects that are labeled with Hacktoberfest in 2 different locations. You've got either GitLab or GitHub. And so here's GitLab. Okay, so on here, as you can see, the link came directly from the Hacktoberfest site, but you can also just filter by this Hacktoberfest topic labeled here on all these. Okay, or on GitHub. Okay, and as you can see here, GitHub actually lists how many of the repositories there are that match with the Hacktoberfest label there. Yeah, so there's a lot. There's plenty of different options that you can choose from here. Now, basically what you do is after you pick either GitHub or GitLab and you start looking at them, you're going to pick a project or a repo that seems interesting to you. So I'm going to click this one here. I'm going to go with free programming books. Let's take a look at what this is. Okay. All right. So when you jump into a repo, you're going to have an explanation if it's set up properly. You'll have what's called a README, which will explain really to you kind of what this is all about in terms of what the project is. And, it may give you some links to extra resources and that kind of thing. There also typically will be a contributing.md file here as well. And that really just tells you all of the rules of how to contribute, how to actually participate in, well, not just Hacktoberfest, but these rules do apply to Hacktoberfest as well. So it's really, how can I submit a PR that will be accepted, PR or MR? All right, so a good place to start is to go to the issues, because that's where you're going to find all of the different things that you can solve, like the different problems that can be solved, essentially. So we go to the issues and we say, I want to look for something that's kind of easy to start with. Okay, so if the labels have been set up properly, which most of the Hacktoberfest ones repos have been, you can typically search for what's called the good first issue label here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, so it looks like this repo has 2 good first issues. And I'm going to go ahead and just click on the first one. All right. And it looks like this one is asking for both Chinese translation is outdated, partial done since last review. Okay, so interestingly enough, it looks like this issue is they need someone to do a Chinese translation. And after scrolling a little bit, I was looking at this one earlier briefly. It looks like someone may have tried to submit something which says, please only native spoken Chinese, right? So it's interesting because this, this issue here, it looks like someone tried during Hacktoberfest last year, didn't work out. So it's still open. And honestly, this is actually one of those like no code options for contributing to Hacktoberfest. So good first issues. They won't always be that way, but you're going to be able to find some like that, which is nice. It's not just for people that know all about how to code. All right, let's see. I think that's everything for all about Hacktoberfest. Do you have anything to add, Raul, before I pass it to you?
Yeah, well, I could say probably you have noticed that this is not the usual hackathon, right? Because this is not competing normally. It's not about competing for the first prize or things like that. Or DigitalOcean is not normally promoting that approach, which is nice, right? Because at the end, it's a celebration on that celebrating that open source is a thing, and try to get more people engaged and used to the contributions. So I think this is pretty cool, and that's why I think we have been looking forward to participating here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because Esri has done some traditional hackathons, in the past. But yeah, this is a fun one because it's very unique. So it is exciting to be able to do something that's less of a competition and more just a thing to, well, do a good thing and have fun and learn, along the way. So yeah. Cool.
Okay, then I guess my part. Now I have to explain why we are doing this, right? Why Esri is participating.
Yeah, why are we? Because we're excited to, but why?
Yeah, I would like to say, well, probably we are very enthusiastic about open source in general, and we have been saying that many times during the last Developer Summit on our conferences, right? We are proud to say that we use open source every day when building our technology and to ship some of the products that our customers use. We are doing some contributions to open source too, and more recently we have openly stated that we really encourage people to use open source technologies when it fits their needs. I think that's part of, and I'm a very big fan of the Open Vision program that Esri have. So let me share my screen 1 second in here. And in case you haven't heard about this, the Esri Open Vision is a commitment from the company to make RJS a more interoperable platform. And as you will see in here, there are several initiatives in here. And there are things about open specifications, open data, but also open source, right? So, and this is one way for us to keep doing things that make our platform more open. Everyone knows that we have, and actually I was checking a few minutes ago, and this year is also our 10th anniversary on the GitHub account. So as many people know, we have this GitHub org with few hundreds, more than 600 repos, where we normally share, as probably everyone knows, we share sample apps, we share documentation, we share some plugins, we share snippets, and we share different projects. Of course, it's a lot of things that will help our developer community to do more integrations and to have a better developer experience normally, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important thing, that one big initiative that we have been doing, but one thing that I feel was also very important was back in 2021, when we released our JS platform, we made another commitment, right? We decided to start doing an extra level of support to some open source libraries like Leaflet, like MapLibre, JLJS, OpenLayers, and Cesium, right? So we not only want people to use Esri's SDK, but as I said previously, we want anyone to be able to use the SDK that better fits his needs. So I think that was another nice movement. And you can see here that we keep doing things to support people that have decided to use open source technologies for whatever reason they have. So, yep, we are going to be, that's the main reason we are doing also Hacktoberfest, right? We want to provide an extra level of support during the month of October to those folks that want or have been willing to do some open source contributions, especially to any of the repos we have on GitHub. Sometimes you want a fast response, or you might want to jump on a call with someone. So the idea is to provide you that level of support. So in addition to the repos themselves that we are going to show in a few minutes, or a few seconds, I would say, we are going to have a Slack channel where anyone who want to talk to us or have any question, or have any question related to the Hacktoberfest itself and not about the project, they can join in here and they can talk to us. So I think the link will be shared on the description of the video, right? Courtney?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Right. We'll put it in the video description afterwards, because it is a little long, so I didn't want to just paste it on the.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that these Slack invites sometimes expire. So if you see that it doesn't work, let us know and we will update the link on the description.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's mainly everything I wanted to say. I would like you, Courtney, to start talking or sharing some of the repos that we are going to be actively supporting, and what are we doing in here.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and switch to my screen here. So there are a total of 6 Esri repositories that will be joining Hacktoberfest this year. So these are going to be Esri Leaflet, ArcGIS, REST.js, Calcite Design System, ArcGIS, JavaScript, VS Code snippets, Arcade, and Coop. Okay, so 6 total. So I'm going to start with the first 3. I'm going to start with Esri Leaflet here. Now, do keep in mind that we're still working with the maintainers to get these repos set up for Hacktoberfest. So not everything is quite polished and ready with the proper labels yet, but I promise they'll be ready by the time it starts October 1st. So, okay, cool. So starting with Esri Leaflet, it is an open source JavaScript library that provides a lightweight set of tools, allowing you to work with Esri's services in Leaflet, which, if you're unfamiliar with Leaflet, it's a very popular open source mapping library. Now, Esri Leaflet, it does simplify the process of accessing Esri services within your Leaflet maps. So in the repo here, as you can see, you'll find detailed information about what the project is, how to use it, and a bunch more here. So, and I'll scroll back up to the top. As I mentioned earlier, like this repo, we've got 22 issues ready. We'll label them soon, but these will be your options to choose from to help us, solve some problems here. Okay, so I want to show off the documentation that we have for this as well. So I'm going to go to the developer site here, which is on our developers, documentation here. Alrighty. And whoops, I hit the wrong link. That's okay. Okay, here's the homepage for Esri Leaflet. So in here, you can find a bunch of tutorials. And really, I would say that the reason you might want to do this for Hacktoberfest would be to learn just more about the library itself, right? So I'm going to do this with kind of all 3 of these ones that I'm showing you here. If you're unfamiliar with the library, this will help you to just become familiar with it, right? Just to get to see, how the language works and how you can, do basic things, get that understanding of this is to display a map before you then help solve some of our issues here. So, okay. Also, there are sample codes. There's an API reference. Plenty of good stuff in there to help you out. All right, I'm going to go on to ArcGIS REST.js now. This is the second repo that will be participating. So this is an open source JavaScript library consisting of lightweight wrappers for Esri's REST API. It's designed to like simplify the interaction between ArcGIS platform and our web services through JavaScript. So provided here is like a set of tools and utilities for developers to use. And the interesting thing about this is keep in mind the library itself doesn't actually provide a map. Instead, its services are intended to be utilized within mapping applications. One nice feature is this ArcGIS REST.js uses TypeScript, which does mean that developers' lives are like made easier with the type checking and code completion if you're using like a modern development environment. All right, so similar to Esri Leaflet, you can see examples in here. Again, if you just want to get familiar with the library, there's FAQ, there's all sorts of stuff in here to help you understand it better. This one, we've got 68 issues. Again, we'll have all those labeled properly soon. And you can go to our documentation on the website for this one as well, see more tutorials, see the API reference. And yeah, that's ArcGIS REST.js. I like it a lot because it's actually utilized. It's the way to access services within like all the open source mapping libraries that we support. So not just Esri Leaflet, but like MapLibra and OpenLayers and Cesium. So yeah.
It's very lightweight.
It's very lightweight, right? I don't remember how big it is, but I do remember it's very, very small and yeah.
Less than 100 kilobytes, I think, if I remember.
How much?
I think less than 100 or around 100 kilobytes.
Okay.
It depends.
Awesome.
Which packet is to load.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. So the last one I'm going to show is the Calcite design system. This is an open source design framework that was created by Esri, and it's specifically designed to help developers and designers create like consistent and user-friendly, visually appealing web apps, as well as mapping interfaces. So it doesn't just have to be it doesn't actually just have to be a mapping interface. It could just be kind of like any web application. So the design system consists of like design principles, UI components, accessibility considerations, and lots more. Yeah, customization, all sorts of stuff. So in the repo, along with the proper contributing guidelines, you'll find actually hundreds of issues. They've got a lot to choose from, so that's exciting. This one's a very, very active repo, so we're excited to have this one participate in our Hacktoberfest as well. So, all right, going to the documentation. Let's see. So I'm going to go to the home first, and I'll come back to components. So here you can see you've got your getting started, core concepts, tutorials, again, getting you familiar with the library before you then actually, help us with some of the issues. And one of the major parts of the design system are the components. So the components consist of like common web experience pieces, such as like buttons, cards, drop downs, that kind of thing. So the system aligns well with really any kind of developer needs, like I said earlier, so any web application that you want to have a clean and consistent design for. And one other thing I want to say about Calcite, it's kind of exciting, is they're going to be having a live stream here in a few weeks, and that will be on October 10th. And that says 12 p.m. right there because I am on the East Coast, but it's going to be like 9 a.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. in Spain. I think that's CET. So yeah, that'll be exciting to join as well if you want to learn from the Calcite design team about the updates and improvements. So cool. All right, well, I went through the first three, and now it's time for Raul to go through the other three. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to share another three repos. The first one is the RJS JavaScript Visual Studio Code snippets repo. That's actually a collection of snippets to be used within the JavaScript, RJS JavaScript SDK, RJS Maps SDK for JavaScript. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the new name.
It's been a year, come on, or almost a year. Just kidding.
So yeah, it's a collection of snippets, but at the same time, it's a Visual Studio extension. So as you will see here, I'm still, you can see I have been, 1 hour ago, I have been polishing a little bit the repo and updating it with all these guidelines. You can see how it works. The idea is to help or provide a better developer experience for people not only getting started, but very used to write applications with the JavaScript SDK. So we are using the custom snippets that Visual Studio Code provide to be able to have how to load a layer, how to find or how to populate a pop-up, or how to block the navigation. So a lot of different issues in here that we want to start adding. I'm adding the contributing guidelines, or I'm enhancing them, and to make this easier, you can notice that in order to contribute to this repo, you don't need to have a huge amount of knowledge, right? You just need to be able to write a snippet of code. I actually have just uploaded a builder that will help you to create these snippets and give you the JSON object that you will have to send up on a pull request. Actually, in here, if you, sorry for putting this, I know I shouldn't be doing so badly, writing so badly this demo. But this will help you to create an issue directly on the repo with your proposal, and which would be the snippet you would like to see on the extension. So we are trying to make this this process less painful and much easier to follow. So we are still rounding some or setting some conventions on how we want to set the prefixes. So everyone is welcome to join on the discussions. Those are on the issues, but we will have that ready for October. The second repo is Arcade Expressions, which is a pretty similar repo. This is a repository that contains snippets for the Arcade language. For those of you that are familiar with the RJS system and the different tools, you know that you can use this scripting language within dashboards, within Survey, within RJS Pro, within the JavaScript SDK, within many different environments or execution profiles. So this repo is organized on that way. So in here, you will see that there are different folders like constraint, and in here, there is a markdown file for each snippet and the use cases and some information. So if you are an arcade user and you want to add some snippets to this repo, you will have some issues in here too. And the last one, which is one of the open source repos I think I have used the most, is Coop. I really like Coop. And for those of you that doesn't know or haven't heard about Coop, you can see that Coop is hosted in a different organization. But if you go to the website, you will see that we are the main company behind supporting the evolution of Coop. Coop, as you can read in here, is a server component built on JavaScript, on Node.js, that help developers to pull in data from any data source. It can be an API, the Twitter API, the Yelp API, your own Postgres database, whatever, into the RJS system. So the way it works is, if you go in here to documentation, you will see that there are a lot of output providers, meaning that you ingest the content to Coop, and you can put the output of that content. The tool will transform the input data on Esri feature services or Esri vector tiles. So you will be able to connect any data source directly within ArcGIS Line, Enterprise, or whatever you want. It's not an ETL, so you are not loading the data inside. It's delivering a REST endpoint you will be able to load. And there are a lot of providers on this project, meaning that there are a lot of different like technologies that you can grab these are kind of plugins or extensions that you can install, and you can grab data from Google Analytics or Google Sheets and use these providers to load that data into Coop, and then Coop will automatically generate based on the output providers you have, or the outputs will give you the REST endpoints. And you will see that in here there have been contributions. I think I have some contributions in here. I know I work with Jorge on this CSV extension. I think that's a pretty cool project. And if you have been looking for an excuse to contribute to any of these open source projects, I think, yeah, Hacktoberfest and October is a great excuse. If you want to join us, we are going to be more than happy to support you on doing any contribution that, yeah, based on the time you have available and your skill level. So you can see there are different repos in here that you can use for practice if you want to. And one thing I forgot to say, Cornelia, previously, is that in addition to all these things that we are doing during Hacktoberfest, there's another facet of this event, which is not the focus of this live stream, but I want everyone to know that we are not only going to be supporting those of you willing to take a look and give it a try to do a contribution in here. We are also working with people internally at Esri to help them do meaningful contributions on different repos. So that's another part of this event on how we want to support the open source community. It's not only to support people willing to,
yeah. We want to encourage you guys to contribute to our stuff, but we also want to like make it to where we are contributing to other, many other different repos and projects and other things as well. So it's, we're trying to do our part.
Okay. I guess you will ask us now. You will want to ask us, okay, in addition to what DigitalOcean is providing for the people contributing, are you providing something else for us? I have to say yes. We are going to be giving vouchers, RJS vouchers, for any of you that needs to get access to any of the premium services that are available through the pay-as-you-go service. So if you want to do anything on that side, do any kind of integration with Esri Leaflet or extend something on REST.js, and you need access to the advanced routing API or anything like that, we will be giving that to you. So reach to us on the email we will be sharing or within the Slack channel. And I think the biggest prize we will give is a Dev Summit ticket. So we are going to set up a point system for us to be able to measure or to have kind of a leaderboard where we can say, okay, we have some people contributing and we want to give something more than just the voucher, which is pretty cool. But we thought that a Developer Summit ticket will be much appreciated for many of you. So we will be announcing that on the RJS blog. We are still finishing a few minor details, so it will be announced soon there. Again, the link will be in the description of the video as soon as it is published. I think that's almost everything, right, for me? Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. We'll have, if you're curious, if you've never been to one of the developer summits, we'll have the links in the description. The European one, it'll be the winner's choice. So like the European one is in Berlin in November, and then the US one is in Palm Springs in March. So yeah, it'll be up to the winner to choose which.
If you have never lived this experience, I highly encourage you to look at this story map. And you can go, of course, you can search on Google and you will see both pages, the European and the one on the States. Here, you will see how exciting it is to be part of this event. I really think it's a really nice prize. I hope to meet whoever and get the ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, we'll be releasing like the specific details about how the point system is going to work and everything. That'll be in our blog, which we don't have the blog made yet, but I will go ahead and throw up this link here on the screen. This is the developers blog on the ArcGIS blog space there. And it'll be within there, hopefully early next week. We'll see. Yeah, sometime soon. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so. I really think you like the idea of Hacktoberfest as a celebration. You consider doing contributions. I really think it's really cool that so many companies are supporting this initiative. If you, again, join to the Slack channel, if you want to meet with us and talk about it, or just stay in contact with us during the event, I have to say that this Slack event is this Slack channel, sorry, is going to be mainly active during the event. Just so for everyone to know, it will probably stay after the event for future events. But in case
for October, it'll be dedicated for this. So.
Yeah, I think it's a nice idea in case you want to, or if you're going to be participating, or you want to be informed of all the other events, to join that Slack channel, because we will use it for future ones. So even if you don't have time during this month.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you're, one other thing I will say too is, if you've never done Hacktoberfest before, that Slack channel, you can always get help from us there too, to learn how to even just, do your first PR, or if you have little questions about how to get started or anything. You can find a lot of that on the internet, to be honest, but we're here to help too. So yeah.
So we hope you are excited. You talk on your social media about Hacktoberfest. In general, you can use the Hacktoberfest hashtag, and we really look forward to see your contributions and to be able to help you.
Yeah, get some trees planted.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.